Early voting has ended ahead of the November 8th elections, but of course, in Louisiana, we don't know how many surprises there could possibly be after the elections are over. LaPolitics editor and publisher Jeremy Alford is here to talk to me, and you actually can go ahead and write your headline, as you, I think, have said that you're going to do ahead of the election.
Yeah, and I think there are two kind of what's next stories, one being what happens with the leadership change from the current delegation, and how does the current election influence the next election next year, the statewide elections. And starting with the congressional delegation, I think it's pretty clear that Republicans are going to capture the U.S. House.
Right.
And that is a big, big deal for Louisiana. That means that Steve Scalise of Jefferson Parish will go from the minority whip position to probably the majority leader. Louisiana has not seen a congressman from here in that position since Hale Boggs held that job. So that's the number 2 spot in the House.
Part of the red wave.
That's right. And then you got Mike Johnson from Shreveport, who recently was reelected as vice chair of the House Republican Caucus. That's an important position, especially if you're in the majority. Garrett Graves from Baton Rouge could be in line for a chairmanship of transportation. Clay Higgins was angling for a chairmanship of Homeland Security, but he kind of had a bumpy patch here. He had some tweets that were very controversial that a lot of folks weren't happy about. So his prospects for leadership in the House may not be as bright as they were just a couple of weeks ago. But overall, that's the big story for Louisiana. Republicans capture the House. We got our own members in line for very, very important leadership jobs.
Of course, there are constitutional amendments that are on the ballot, and the race with Kennedy and those trailing him. But he's a runaway favorite, and don't expect a runoff, but would you be shocked if there was one?
That there are so many people in that race. I think it's funny that the narrative is will Kennedy make a runoff, or will he win in the primary? I mean, there are more than a dozen people in this race.
Right.
He very will be in the runoff, but
right.
I don't think he'll have much competition. He has shattered all fundraising records in Louisiana, and it's difficult to imagine. I mean, he may close in on $40 million raised for this race.
Wow, incredible. A lot of people, this is happening in Louisiana. There are bigger races really in other states all over America, less so here, but the governor's race will be happening a year from now. And we've had the same governor for a long, long time, but that's going to change with term limits.
Yeah, it's the first open race for governor we've seen in 2 terms of state government. And, there are a lot of folks looking at our congressional delegation wondering who might run for governor. People like Garrett Graves, who's on the ballot this fall. Bill Cassidy not on the ballot this fall, but he's leaning towards maybe making a run for governor. Right. So there's a lot of intrigue about this election cycle and how it influences next year's.
And there are some definite ends already.
There are two. Hunter Lundy, he's an independent from Lake Charles. He's a personal injury attorney. He's been raising some money inside the state and outside the state from different trial bars. And of course, who can miss Attorney General Jeff Landry? He's the 800-pound gorilla in this race. He's trying to get an early endorsement out of the Republican Party. He's already got endorsements. He's really the only big name who has announced in this race.
Is that unusual that he would be doing that at this point, or is he in a better position to do that than if he was working in Washington?
It's incredibly unusual that we don't have a bigger field. 8 years ago, we had most of the candidates already announced by now. Right now, we really only have 2 and 1 big name. So that's unusual. But, we are seeing now the benefits to announcing early. Jeff Landry can kind of, like a bull in a china cabinet, is running around trying to get these endorsements, trying to get the Republican Party to back him, all because he's the only candidate.
Right. Doesn't it seem, though, odd that that's what we're talking about? I know there's so many important things, really, on the ballot, but that's what has people's attention, I think.
I think that, it's a governor's race in Louisiana. It's a storied, legendary, fabled thing, and I think we all kind of look forward to it, and it's a form of entertainment. So for someone like me who writes about politics every single day, it is not unusual at all to be talking about a governor's race.
No, well, right, exactly, but almost I'm thinking there's like overlooking, which...
Absolutely.
It's terrible for me to say that.
We're overlooking a ton. Look, there are state legislative races on this ballot. There's a Plaquemines Parish president's race on the ballot. There are constitutional amendments up in Shreveport, Alexandria. Big mayor's races. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, right. It's not an overall, we're not going to be voting, say if you live in New Orleans or Baton Rouge, for the Shreveport mayor.
Right,
So,
right.
But that kind of thing.
But I think folks are interested in those races.
Absolutely, yeah. So we'll see how it shakes out. Look forward to your headlines this week and also next.
Thank you.
Jeremy Alford, thank you.
Always.